or trout using them, but the focus will be within those areas to meet some of our local goals. So to go over this monitoring methodology that I've been talking about, each one of you should have got a handout at the back that highlights this. You can also go on the project website and read the current monitoring methodology. We still have some fine details to work out as staff on exactly how some of those steps will be implemented. But the concepts and the major elements are there. Those aren't going to change. So the first step is to utilize high resolution imagery. This is an example on the Marys River, which is a fish-bearing stream, which is shown in red there. And using this LiDAR imagery, which is light detection and ranging imagery that was developed through the Oregon LiDAR Consortium, which Benton County was one small member of, we were able to gain this valuable information, and I derived what's called highest hits minus bare earth, so you can determine what the vegetation height is currently around streams and density from that. So we sort of get that initial baseline, and it's currently being processed for the entire county. And that's correct, right? We're going to have the entire county.
LiDAR?
Yeah.
Except for far southwest corner.
Far southwest corner. So that will provide our baseline information, and you can read more in the handout or online on what the details are. But the other component to this is to complete annual monitoring in locations where we have building and land use permits active to determine if those are being linked with any kind of riparian vegetation removal, and we can utilize best aerial imagery for that. And this is a way to see, okay, are we actually seeing any kind of loss in riparian vegetation when we issue a building permit? We hear about it through complaints sometimes, or just, is a concern out there, but we haven't done any close analysis of that. And then if there is an issue with large removal that we determine, then we can provide some of the outreach and education assistance to get some enhancement of that and explain the importance of enhancing it. The other major element here is this program trends and status report. So every 5 years, having this 5-year cycle, we would do another more baseline characterization, if you will, comparing gross changes on the landscape and riparian vegetation. Determine what kind of annual change we're seeing through the building and land use permit monitoring, and what going along with this, what kind of success we're having with the outreach and education program. We're going to focus and lead with encouraging property owners to manage riparian vegetation in a specific way that enhances the functions and values of that stream. And there's a lot of partners that we have already been talking to. I've already met with the Marys River Watershed Council Board, and we're going to have discussions at the staff level about how we can partner better, and I'm going to be talking with the Soil and Water Conservation Board again about partnership opportunities, so we can leverage the resources and create specific and targeted outreach and education is my hope and goal. So, what's going on, is in parallel is the monitoring and the outreach and education elements. The program evaluation that I mentioned will have to be reviewed by the state, and it's sort of just a check-in point where they say, you know, this seems to be working, we're not seeing a loss of riparian vegetation, or they say, oh, we recommend these changes. And obviously the community will be involved in those check-in periods as well. So we can get input from our advisory group and streamside landowners and folks that are interested in the project. Instruction that we got from the Department of Environmental Quality is that they can recommend that a regulatory program be adopted, but we were able to put into our approved program that you can recommend that, but it's going to be the county's decision if that program will be even entertained through a public process based on what we're learning. So with that, I think I stayed in. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just add that where we are in the process is we are finalizing this non-regulatory proposal, and then we'll get a read from the county commissioners and some final direction on what to finally prepare for in terms of adoption. This non-regulatory program, or regulatory program, or both, or nothing. But where we're at right now is finalizing this non-regulatory option to be as good as we can get it, and then we'll be checking in and getting further direction on where to go forward.
Yeah, it's our goal to, obviously we wouldn't be here if it wasn't, to go forward with this option and recommend that as staff and get feedback from the elected officials.
We want to give this every chance to work.
Yeah. So we'll take about 25 minutes here for large group discussion. Greg, I think you have a flip chart there for some questions that.
Yeah, so if there are questions or comments that we're not able to fully address here tonight, we'll take note of them and who brought them up and be sure to get back to you on them. What I'd like to have us do is start with questions so that everybody, if you have any questions to understand what's being proposed, let's get those out of the way first so that everybody's on the same footing, and then we can get into more discussion about pros and cons or what works or doesn't work, that kind of thing. So any